Hello, and welcome to the Date Your Wife podcast. I'm here with my husband and co-host, Mr. Is that a burp or a growl? You're like caveman edition, just grunt, and we know you're here. So this is Garrett. You're not seeing us because our videos are not working. We switched to a new patio,
A new patio.
a new podcast studio. Oh, Jesus. And so you're just getting the recording of us. And to be honest, I'm so pregnant. I'm like, don't even want to be on a camera right now. I'm like, listen, I'm on the home stretch, 4 weeks left, and then
How's this feel? How's it feel knowing you have 4 weeks left? Like
it's
literally
so
this
funny.
morning, you had a look of.
I might die.
It wasn't a look of die. It was a look of like I just want to be done with this shit.
I think that's literally, I remember with every baby, and I don't remember a lot with each pregnancy because there's this 8-year gap. But I remember the last 3 to 4 weeks is like a lifetime. You're literally counting the days. It's funny. I talked to Jeff, who Garrett's somebody who works with Garrett. Jeff, or what is he? What is his title?
He's CFO.
Okay, his
Only
wife,
slightly significant.
His wife is pregnant too, and she's due like a week before me. And I'm like, is your wife? Is she hating life as well? He's like, she's literally counting the days. I'm like, I know.
I am. It's just like.
And we went to a movie.
What's that like? Like seriously, like I'm sorry. Go ahead. Tell about the movie.
Oh God! So like basically date nights. I'm like, yeah, let's go grab a quick bite and like go. There's a Cinépolis by our house, and it's like a luxury cinema where you can like recline the chairs. Like bring you a blanket. It's great. So I'm like, literally date night consists of like dinner and a movie. And I walk into the theater, and I'm pretty sure I'm like waddling at this point, and the guy looks at me and he's like, oh, almost there. And I'm like, yep. And he's like, don't have the baby in the theater. And I'm like, should I kick you in the nuts now or later? I'm sorry, but when you're in the home stretch, if you're a dude or a girl, like, please do not say, you do any day, don't have a baby in the theater. Like, fuck off. Like, am I that big? Am I waddling that much? Like, come on. I mean, I still have like a month left. It's not like I'm due tomorrow. So I was like,
Technically, that's another 2 pounds of baby growth.
I don't know.
That's what they say. That's another. You could like literally you like your mind went to a place that was very dark there for a moment when I said that the baby would get 1 more pound or 2 more pounds bigger.
I can't so when you're pregnant, and you get it bigger, I have the worst acid reflux and I can't breathe to the point to where it's like making me nauseous. Like I ate a piece of licorice the other day and I'm like, oh, it's coming back up. And I'm like, that's so gross. But when the baby finally starts to drop, which my babies don't drop till the last week.
What does this mean, drop?
Like literally, like
it
you
goes
can
from
tell
the top down to the
you
bottom.
can tell when a woman's like getting ready, and then
it's very low.
And then I'll joke around. I was joking around with Katie, who works for me, and she just had a baby. And like her last couple weeks, she's like, "Oh my God, I feel like I sit down and my baby's head hits the chair." And I was like, "I think you've dropped. Like that's when you've dropped. Like you start to dilate in your body. Like the baby physically drops, and it's uncomfortable to the point where you feel like the baby's going to fall out, but they're not really. But in the nice part about it is like you can kind of breathe a little bit more. You have just
the pressure away from the diaphragm.
Yeah, you have just a little more room up there. So, yeah.
So you weren't happy when the old guy at the theater made the comment.
I just find every pregnancy, like you always get those comments, and they're always by like middle-aged dudes, and you're like,
he isn't that middle-aged. He's like 60.
I don't even give a shit. Don't ever ask a girl, "Are you due any day?" Like, don't have the baby in the theater, ha ha ha. I'm like, how many months are you, sir? Oh, okay then.
I think the hard part is that like for a guy, you just don't know what to say.
Don't say anything.
Yeah, it's hard to not say anything.
If you don't, didn't your mom teach you? If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
I think they think they're saying something nice.
No,
though.
they can't.
They're like, oh, don't have the baby in the theater, thinking that's going to be funny, not recognizing that
don't say anything.
You want to kick them in the balls, but they know you can't kick them in the balls because you have that kind of flexibility when you're pregnant.
The only thing you can say to a pregnant girl is like, how are you feeling? Looks great. You're almost there. Like, that's appropriate.
That's what I say.
You look at me with these longing eyes of like pain. You're like,
I do?
Yeah.
I do?
Yeah. Like,
oh,
and so sometimes,
really?
Yeah. Like,
I'm trying to hide
You're
that.
trying to be supportive, but you look like you look almost like, it's like, I know you're not trying to look disgusted. You're more like,
I'm not disgusted.
No, you're definitely like concerned, but
yes.
Your face is like, and you guys can't see me, but your face is like your eyes, your brow kind of furrows, and you're like, oh, that looks so awful. Are you okay? But you don't say that looks so awful, but your face looks like that.
My face says that?
Yeah.
It's the furrowing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you knew that word, furrowing.
Don't
furrowing of the brow.
Don't furrow your brow.
How long have you known this word, furrowing of the brow? Is this even a thing? What the fuck does this word mean? Furrow.
I don't know. I'm trying to give. They don't have a visual, so I'm trying to give them a visual.
It's very fancy. It was a good painted word.
Furrowing of the brow. Don't do that.
Furrowing of the brow.
I'm going to write a book called Appropriate etiquette for a pregnant lady.
Got it. And I'm going to write a book called What to Expect When You're Expecting Penis Edition.
Yeah, it's less.
Yeah, between the two of us, we're both going to have quality books about pregnancy. I think, seriously, I keep saying this for months. I've been saying this. I'm going to write this book, What to Expect When You're Expecting Penis Edition. The more I talk about this topic, the more and you know what? This is the window, because if I was ever to do it, it's got to happen now, because I believe this will be our last.
Yeah, I'm done.
I mean, I can't foresee you taking this on again.
No.
I mean, and like for me, I inside the book, What to Expect When You're Expecting Penis Edition, which I'll probably get sued because of the title, which I'm going to change the title. And I'm sure they wouldn't go for Penis Edition, like as one of the versions of their collection of books.
It would be like a 4-page book. I mean, how much do you need to write about
No,
it?
it wouldn't be 4-page. Like there's so many topics.
Day 1, my wife was too sick to have sex with me.
No, it's like
Day 2,
chapter 3.
my wife is still too sick to have sex with me.
It's chapter 3,
Day 3.
erection in the desert, and you're still all alone.
You know what's so funny? You know what's so funny is like I even like when you're really further along being pregnant, it's like sex is weird because your husband feels like, "Are you okay? Is this gonna be okay?" So it's like,
yeah, I don't want to hurt you.
You're not gonna.
I do
hurt
notice
me.
I suck my abs in too, so like I kind of do.
Noticed that.
You
my
do?
God! I was
suck
literally
my abs.
like, I literally was like, I'm at an all-time low. I'm gonna really have to just go in it for me this time.
Well, I was sucking my abs in to try to make room for the baby.
That's weird. Please don't do that.
If
What not to do when
it
having
feels-
with your wife?
No, I'm going to call this I'm going to call it create
No,
the cave.
No.
Which is like the ab technique, which means you have to be a fit guy to be able to go introverted with your core. So I went introverted
Don't do
for
that.
a pocket for the baby.
Okay, I noticed that and I was like, why is he sucking in? Am I that big? It's not going to hurt the baby. Like, it's so bad.
You noticed that?
I noticed. I was like, why is he sucking in? Please don't concave to form to the shape of the baby. Now I'm thinking about having sex with a baby in me and it's just gotten weird. So
Well, I was like, I thought I was offering a support, like a snoogle. You know, like a pillow you sleep in at night. I was like, I'm going to offer up a snoogle belly edition while she's having sex with me.
If it's normal do you think, I think a lot of couples just don't have sex the last month. Like,
We've had sex once in like 6 weeks or something.
I know.
And
It's rough.
you know what? I remember like Sam and a few other people like in the last couple, like the last quarter, men are close to me that I know that have babies in the last couple of years. And I remember him telling me the last couple of months, I'm like, bro, how's the sex life? He's like, 0, son, 0. No sex is happening. I was like, are you upset about that? He's like, no, man, it's like weird territory.
I think it's just
like
awkward.
awkward extraterrestrial territory. Listen, I was just trying to offer up my version of support, which was
Don't
creating a
suck your
nice
belly.
cradle for the baby in my abs.
I'm telling you, I'm telling
I
you right
sucked
now.
the abs in.
Then I'm telling you right now,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, he's thinking about hurting the baby. This is already awkward. So stop.
Yeah.
No.
I was more like not worried about hurting the baby as I was like trying to create comfort for you, but it obviously backfired.
No, it's fine.
Fucked your head up and mine.
Just lay there and let me do my job.
All right. Well, you did a great job with my concave belly. Okay, let's move on to another topic though. Another topic we have going on right now is our child. Another child. of
No,
ours.
that's not what we were going to talk about. We were going to talk about feedback between spouse.
Well, that's good. We'll use her as part of the topic inside of feedback from spouse. So you and I gave a little speech. You saw it on a story. I was running an event recently called Big Money Marketer. It was our first marketing-only event. We're only doing it once. Now it's going to be a home study course. You'll be able to find out more at bigmoneymarketer.com. In July, well, actually, 1st of August, we'll be releasing that home study course. It took us 2 months to build this out. And we just finalized it here with a 3-day event. It was amazing. But Parker was running my social media during that, and he had my phone. He did some stories. You saw a clip that inspired this topic off you.
I was just like, I always feel like you make me sound like I'm some kind of demon or like I'm so not like kind of feisty, which
you are feisty.
I feel like I'm very sweet.
I feel like
super
you're very sweet
easygoing.
in your own mind. You're sweet. No. In your mind, you have this filter that says I'm sweet.
I am.
I would say you're not sweet.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think you're very sweet.
I think I'm very sweet.
Well, I think your definition of sweet and what's very sweet are
maybe
probably different.
not sweet. Maybe like easygoing.
When I think of
patient,
sweet,
tolerant. Those are better words.
No, I don't think you're patient or tolerant
Oh
either.
my God, I think I'm very
No,
patient.
I think you're none of those.
Wow.
Like when I imagine patient, tolerant, and sweet,
What do you imagine?
I think of a woman who's like from Alabama or from like the Midwest, like Nebraska, and she like makes cornbread, she makes some cupcake. She's
Are you thinking
loving.
of like Rosie, our nanny?
No, I'm not thinking about Rosie. Rosie cannot cook. Rosie cannot cook to save her life at all. I was very disappointed. Speaking about disappointed, I was very disappointed about this. Like she probably listens to the podcast, and I love her. except for the fact that she is not a great cook.
I think you were stereotyping because she's.
I was completely because I was racist about it.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
you
lie.
were
I was
like,
like, she's a happy, amazing, beautiful Mexican woman. I am guaranteeing we're gonna
You're
get
thinking
epic
homemade carne asada every
tacos.
night. Yeah, no.
I mean, I got Johan here in studio. Johan. Like, honestly, come over here by the microphone really quickly. He's here running this. I'm going to
Yeah,
ask
I
Johan
didn't-
because Johan is Mexican. And Johan, is this a faulty assumption that a sweet, kind woman in her 50s, Mexican woman, typically can they cook great Mexican food? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Come into the microphone.
Yes.
Oh.
Will you verify that you are Mexican?
Yes.
Will you verify that you appreciate great Mexican food?
Hell yeah, I do.
Dude, I live in Southern California. Like, if you live in Southern California, you love Mexican food. It's like half the food we eat. I love every ounce of it, but I'm not gonna lie. I had high expectations.
Maybe
for
I
Rosie.
should, you know what? Maybe I need to just tell her to do her thing. Like, I just be like, hey, whatever your favorite dishes are, can you make them? I think she's worried about disappointing us or that we won't like it. But
I swear to God, she has Mexican cooking skills.
I think she
in her.
does. Let's try it. What if I just say, hey, whatever, I just want you to surprise us with your favorite dish. And I don't want you to, like, don't just buy, like, a store.
You think she's trying to make white people food?
I know. I think she's just, like, she doesn't know what she's like, what we like. And she's probably, like, concerned.
I don't
"Oh,
even like white people food, and I'm white. I mean, I don't even like white people food.
I'll eat
I
anything. I'm
pretty
not
much
that
like
picky.
everybody else's food but ours. I don't think we even have food. I think we've stolen everybody's food. We have no
Yeah.
culture with food in the
That's
United
because
States.
the United States is like an inbreed of like everything, and so it's just like our food is like French fries and burgers, which I'm like, ew.
And why did we?
You love French fries and
I
burgers.
do
What are
love
you
French
talking
fries and
about?
burgers. I don't know if we created those. I'm pretty confident the United States
We
stole those
them
from somebody.
from France.
We stole them.
We stole French fries from
Literally,
France.
I bet you France didn't even make French fries. We just we were probably making fun of Frenchmen or something.
Okay, but let's move on with our topic.
All right, listen. So I am committed to having good Mexican food in my house.
All right, I'll just.
This was one of the biggest, most exciting points of hiring Rosie. Was I was super pumped to have a home manager nanny who could cook amazing. Like in my mind, I saw little
Oh my
tortillas
God.
being made. I would come home and there would be little tortillas, like little fresh tortillas with like some like.
Okay, so I saw a
corn
clip
and
on
some
Garrett's
carne asada.
Instagram, and he was.
All right, you're done with this topic about
I'm
tacos.
I'm done with it.
All
and
right.
he was saying you were in an event and you were speaking
money
to a
marketer.
guy and you were saying like, hey, dude, like if you can't learn how to take feedback from your wife, like how do you expect to do certain things in business? And you're like, my wife doesn't just like come at me with feedback. Like she comes at me right after the ball. And you were like, but I have steel balls now. And I know how and I was like, oh my God, I just sound like, sometimes I feel like you make me sound like a raging bitch. Like where are we at with
we
that?
actually have the I actually have the clip. We're going to play this clip because I had Parker save the stories into events on my Instagram. So you can actually go there and you can see this. Okay, I think it's coming. Here it is. I'm gonna actually play this little clip about balls and getting punched in the balls. Oh my God, he's like did a lot of them.
Yeah, it really.
Hold on.
I think
No,
I
we're
summed up
almost
the story.
We're almost there. We're almost there. It's coming. It's coming. Nope. Oh, here it is. Nope. Nope. All right, I failed at bringing it up. All right, so anyways, there was a clip. I was trying to find. I'm gonna have clips ready to play during the show.
Okay.
I think it sounds exciting. It just sounds cool when you play clips. All right, let's go to the clip. All right.
You know what we've been doing on our Big Money Stylist podcast that's been a really cool way to open the show?
What?
Is we've been asking people to submit stories based on like the topic we're talking about. So I own a salon. They're like, oh, send us a funny story of like a shit show experience you had at the salon or whatever it is. Like we could even ask, I don't know, we could ask couples like, hey, send us a story that's similar to today's topic. And next week we'll open it up and share your story. I think it was.
Do you know what we could do? We better not. We could do questions, live questions. Well, like audio questions get sent in. Anyways, let's come back to our point. So I'm doing this clip at the event, and I talk about the shift of a story and how my story went from Danielle's a critical bitch. That was where it was. It used to be for years. To Danielle is a creative influencer with direct communication in my life.
Yeah, that's exactly how I
Yeah.
would.
So like, but I was reframing it, and I was sharing with this guy, and because he was in the same situation. My wife's so critical, which is feedback. I said, but the challenge is that your wife is one of the few people in your life who can speak to you in a way that no one else can speak to you. Like you got all the data. Like you've got all the data. So you can like jab straight into the ball. So I said, listen, what's got to happen is over time, your balls have got to become steel balls from the feedback from the queen. because she's refining you and getting you to a place of power. Like when you think about giving me feedback, why do you choose to give me feedback?
I think
Like what's
I
going on
think
in your
there's-
mind
I
as a
will
wife?
say, like, as a wife, and it's like one thing that I try to be more conscious of as a wife and a mom is even though I'm married to you or my kids are my kids, I have to at least approach it with a little bit of a filter. Because my intent is never to like go after the juggler is to like straight shot to the balls. My intent out of frustration is like, well, let me help him out. Like, let me share what I'm seeing. But oftentimes it actually comes not knowing all the facts and the details. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so sometimes maybe it's just my personality. I joke around all the time. I'm like, I'm a Taurus. So sometimes I think I know it all and I can be selectively opinionated about weird things. So sometimes I make an opinion based on not knowing all the facts. And I come across like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for me, I think it's not even like a Taurus thing. I think women in general tend to do that. You know, they're like, well, why don't you do this or this or this? And they come across kind of naggy is a good word. And then guys are instantly like triggered. But I think our intent is like, literally like, I'm part of this family. Why would you do it that way? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of kind of like stepping back and being like, there's like a balance of like communication, but also like trusting. Do you know what I mean? It's like voicing your concerns, but also like letting you kind of do your own thing and figure it out. And there's times in our relationship where I'm like, I've had to learn to like hold back and be like, I don't need to have an opinion on everything. I just don't. And then there's times where I'm like, I've got to take a stand for this. Like choose your battles. And like, this is one thing that I just keeps coming up in my heart that I need to like express my concerns. But then I have to be very careful with how I word it because my intent is not to offend. Does that make sense?
It does. You've gotten better at this.
Yeah.
You've gotten a lot better.
But I think you've gotten better at receiving my feedback and I've gotten
Sure.
better at communicating my feedback. Do you know what I mean?
I do. So like in the beginning, I didn't know how to take it. So it was very hard for me in the beginning because like I always experienced like your feedback as like attack. It was literally that. It was feedback. It was more like attack.
I think too, you've proven yourself more like in business and like providing more, which built that trust more, which then I was like, okay, he obviously, maybe I don't agree with it, but he knows what he's doing and maybe I don't have all the facts. I think I had the hardest time with it when you were trying to build your businesses and like literally I'd come to you and I'd be like, oh, and I was like a hairdresser, but I was like having in the mix of having kids and I wasn't making a ton of money. I was like making like $2,000 a month. Mm-hmm. And I'd come to you and I like our lifestyle, we only needed like $6-7 grand to live off of, like literally pay the bills, live off everything. And I'd be like, hey, and you put me in charge of the bills and I'd come to you and I'd be like, hey, I need money in the account. And you would get mad at me.
Yep.
And I was like, I am trying to figure out how to win because I'm in charge of paying the bills, but there's no fucking money in the account to pay the bills right now.
Right.
So you let me know how I'm supposed to approach you when I say this shit isn't working. And so I think for me, it was like gaining that trust of like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. Like I had some justification in the way I operated and spoke to you because I was like, there's no results. There's no money. Like, what do you want to do? And that's even what triggered me to start my business because I was like, God, I'm so sick of nagging you and then feeling guilty that I'm nagging you. Fuck it. I'll go do my own thing. And then if we need extra money, then I have money in my account where I'm like, you don't have money? I got it, babe. And I can be supportive on that end. And so we did that for a while.
Well done.
Yeah. So that's a side of the story maybe that
Yes.
people don't hear about me. They're like, oh, she went after the jugular. Or she went after the nuts. Like, I didn't filter my stuff, but I'm like, I didn't know what to do. Like, there was no results
Yeah.
in our life that were leading to abundance. And I was kind of like, what the fuck? You're working all the time. Give me some goddamn money. And that's where I was at. I mean, that was just frustrating as a wife.
I completely appreciate it. 100%. It was interesting because at the time I was trying to figure myself out. I was trying to figure out where we were going. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. I didn't want to go back into mortgages. You wanted me to go back into mortgages. A lot of people wanted me to go back
I
into
wanted
mortgages.
safety and security.
Yeah, you
and
were
I
like,
was
go
like,
make some fucking money.
I was
Because
like, I know you're
everybody
trying to do your own thing, but
well, and everybody I'd left the industry with was back in the industry making money again.
they were killing it. So we had
Like,
people
they weren't like kind of killing
no.
it. They were fucking making a
Garrett,
bunch of money.
So Garrett leaves, like the industry crashes, whatever. But then he had like my brother and some other guys that were in VA loans. And even when the market
all the
was
original
crashing,
place I was doing loans.
even though when like the market was crashing, they were still killing it, making like, 30-40 grand a month. And I'm like, fuck, we can't even make $5,000 a month right now. You're trying to do your own thing. And I see all of our friends and family that are just like, not only that, but then they're even like, what, looking at me like, what's Garrett doing? Why is he doing that? So I'm like having to deal with the backlash of everybody being like, what the fuck is Garrett doing? And I'm trying to be a supportive wife, but I'm kind of like, what the fuck is he doing?
And then The rest of the story?
No, and so then I kept pushing you and kept pushing you and kept pushing
And
you.
now I'm the motherfucker that everybody wants to hang out with. Ah, yeah.
No, but what pushed
Doubt
you?
me when I'm down. You don't get to ride with me when I'm up.
What?
Question me in the pit. You don't get to party with me at the peak. Fuck you, motherfuckers. All right. Anyways, I'm
But
just
what
kidding.
pushed you, like, finally? Because I remember there
Actually,
was a specific.
I'm not actually kidding when I say that. But you
What was
have
there-
been instrumental to it.
There was a specific time I remember in Hawaii that you snapped and you were like,
Yeah, I completely snapped.
you were like, what am, like all of a sudden you.
No, I will tell you exactly what happened. We'd gone to Hawaii. I had no money. Your parents paid for everything. I felt helpless. I felt worthless. It's like it's bad. Like when you make money, then you have no money. Like if you have no money and you don't know you have any money, you never had any money, you just kind of accept the fact that, hey, we don't have any money. But once you've had money, you made money, you've experienced prosperity and abundance, and you've lived it at a certain level, and then you don't have it, it's like this crazy contrast. It's like having an amazing like run for 6 months to a year with sex and then having no sex. I don't know anything about that except for maybe having a baby.
I'm sorry, I'm having
I'm not
your
having you
child.
apologize. Listen, I got the concave gut thing
Put
going
it
on.
in your book, Garrett. Put it in your book.
It's gonna be in.
We're all
my
gonna cry a
book.
river. Put it in your book.
Oh, I think it's funner looking directly at you.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it
because
funner?
you.
Because you can see the fury in behind my eyes
I like
while,
it.
while getting a leg cramp and a contraction at the same
Oh,
time.
I know. Shit. See, don't go there because I'm not gonna even include you in the book. You don't get to be in the book because then you're gonna make me feel bad, and then I won't be able to actually write the book. I got to write the book from a position about guys. So, anyways, we go to Hawaii. I don't have any money. This is like 2009er, somewhere in there, like 2009er, and we end up at the Ko'olina Resort in Hawaii, which is a Marriott style
We
hotel.
paid for flights.
I don't even think we paid for
No,
flights.
we did.
I swear to God, we
I got
paid.
a really good deal.
You probably paid for
I did.
flights.
And
I didn't have any
You were
money.
like, we can't go, and I got a really
You
good
guys,
deal.
and then your parents paid for everything else.
Yeah.
So I end up there at the hotel, and I go out in the morning on my cell phone, and I have a woman who I have done some work for, who owes
you were
me
so pissed.
$500.
Oh, you were so pissed.
And I'm sitting out in the lobby area of the hotel room here at the Ko'olina Resort in Hawaii. And I'm excited. I mean, I'm pretty fucking helpless. Like I've been coaching with Brendan Burchard at the time, and like he's saying millionaire messenger, and I'm like, dude, this voice in me will not shut the fuck up. Like I don't even know if I can do this. I was on my last straw. I was like, I'm gonna fucking go back and do the thing that I did in financial services because I cannot figure this shit out about trying to help people while help myself. Like I don't know how to do this. So I'm sitting there on the phone with this woman, and she tells me she was from Canada. I don't even remember her name, but she was from Canada. And she tells me on the phone, she says, I'm not going to pay you. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, like there is this moment in my brain where like a train is going down the tracks, and then the switcher guy switches the tracks, and then the train goes on a totally different set of tracks than the tracks it was originally headed on. This is what happens for me. I have a moment where the tracks just shift. I stand up. I yell at her. I hang up on the phone on her. I go, motherfucker! And I take my phone and I throw it as hard as I can against the Ko'olina Marriott Resort wall.
Did it break?
You know what to say? I don't even know if it broke or not. I don't know. I literally can't remember what happened next. I think I probably blacked out from rage. I had no stacking tools. I had no Core 4. I had no brotherhood. I had no conversation. There was nobody giving me permission to tell the truth. I was just here, this helpless guy with no money, sitting at the Marriott Ko'olina Resort with my wife, who's looking hot as shit. You're not having sex with me at all the time because I can't even make any money because I'm feeling worthless.
We were sharing a room because we couldn't afford our
We
own
were sharing a room with who?
I don't remember. It was because it was like a big trip. My parents invited like all the siblings, and
Holy
we were sharing
shit,
a room.
we were sharing a room. Yeah. I mean, how pitiful.
I'm not gonna have sex when I'm sharing a room. It's fine. It was fun.
Yeah. No, it wasn't fun at all. It was the shittiest vacation. It's probably why I hate going back to that resort.
Dude, you know what? I took the
You
girls
like it?
back. I
I'm
took the
never
girls
going
back, and
again.
I got a suite, and it was a totally different
I'm
experience.
never going again.
No,
You can continue with the kids. You can take baby Isla with you too. I will not go to that place. It's like hell for me.
Oh God, maybe you should get over it.
I will never get over it.
Okay.
All right, maybe I will get over it. But nonetheless, that's when the shift happened. And then I went crazy. And you know what also I realized with feedback is I started realizing that just because you give me feedback doesn't mean I have to listen. And this was a hard thing for me because in the beginning, for a period of time when I was at my lowest, you had way more certainty than me. So you would say shit and I looked at you like a witch. You were like a prophetess. You would say shit. I had a dream. I'm like, tell me more.
Yeah, and I was like,
Tell me
wow.
what happens. What do I need to do? And you're like,
I was like, I'm intuitive, but I don't know.
And so, like, you would say things like, the garage is opening. And I was like, okay, what does this mean? If my garage was opening in my dream.
It was
I
a
like,
lot of
what does this
pressure
mean?
on me. You put so much pressure on me because
I did.
I think I am pretty intuitive and I say things and I see things but you would put too much pressure even on me. You'd be like, what do you think? And I'd be like, please lead. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
Well,
I
it was
don't
good news
know.
was I didn't know either. So I was sitting there with I don't know. You're sitting there with I don't know. But then I make a decision. I start going. And it did take years, though. It took years for me to figure out
I think
how to deal
in
with
Hawaii,
feedback from
that's
you.
what I remember is when you were in Hawaii, because I remember being so pissed because like I felt you were judging me you were like, I'm helping people, I'm making a difference. And I'd be like, well, fucking pay the bills. And I think you kind of casted this like, oh, you're just like in it for the money and screw you.
I
like,
was. I
and-
completely was saying this.
And I kind of was like at this point where I'm like, you can't help others if at some level you don't help yourself. And I think that moment in Hawaii, it was like a light bulb turned on, and I was like, finally. I'm like, I'm not saying. I think I like always saw how good you could be at anything, and so the fact that like you were doing things and not getting paid, but you're like almost kind of self-righteous about it, like, oh, but I'm helping and I'm changing the world. I'm like, that's an excuse. Like, you should be able to help yourself and help others at the same time. And I think in that moment, I finally it was like a light turned on and I was like, okay, good. And then I felt like I could be more on board.
Yeah, here's the reality. You ready for the reality? Reality is I don't believe I would have made it out of the. I don't think I could have made it out of the rut. I think I'd have probably ended up back in like mortgages or gone back into something if I was not married to you.
I think that you work your ass
Like,
off, and
yeah.
I can never like take any credit for the amount of. You just are that person. Like you work. Like you are one of the hardest working people I know. But I do know that I am in your life. Like I think I push you just enough.
You do.
And
You're like a rudder on a boat, but you're also like, the bumpers on a bowling lane. So like you come in at
You
critical times. I don't think we would have made it. I think we'd be divorced if it wasn't for you. Like because there were moments where I was like giving up. I was like, fuck this, I'm done.
I think
And
that
you came back into the equation and perfectly. Sometimes you'd come in with like your ninja swords, and other times you'd come in with like this loving. Who the fuck is this like Southern Belle who like is in my house right now? I don't know who this
Me?
like soft. Yeah, this soft. Eloquent woman
I got
bringing
two
me
modes.
cupcakes. Well, yeah. You broke her out over
I
the
can
years.
be Susie Homemaker, or I can be Susie Slash Your Throat Maker.
Susie. I'm Susie Slasher or I'm Susie Homemaker. One
Either
of the two.
way.
So I like the feedback over time though. I started to trust myself, and I also started to trust you. And like we still collide on stuff right now. Like we still go back and forth about things. And I mean, the fact is, you're like pregnant. Like I'm in a very interesting precarious situation as a husband and as a man right now because I'm like. You are still taking on a ton of responsibility with your own businesses. Plus, you're pregnant. Plus, you're dealing with the kids. Plus, you're dealing with me. And I'm like throwing in my 2 cents, trying to like help out and do my thing around and like guide and support. But
I've
like
had to
I
too.
literally don't even know sometimes
I've
how
had
to
to
support.
too, because there's been times where I'm like, screw it, I'm overwhelmed. Here, you take it. It's your responsibility. To the point where like now I'm like, I don't need to heavily rely on you. I'm actually a pretty like independent person by nature. And so there's been times I've had to even be like, you act very much as like my bodyguard, which part of me loves. Like I'm like, oh, I love being treated like a woman and feeling like you're very protective. But then there's certain situations where I'm like, I need you to let me handle this.
Yeah.
And you'll come back in all raged up like you're my bodyguard. And I'm like, I need you to let me handle this. And it could be even certain situations where I have leaned on you in the past and I'm like, I've said this on so many podcasts. Are you a people pleaser or a conflict avoider? And I realize that I'm not that nice. I am nice, but I'm not a people pleaser. I'm a conflict avoider. And so oftentimes I would shove things on Garrett, like, you take care of it. You be my soldier. You be my guy that comes in. And then I was like, I need to face these responsibilities if I'm going to take on more in my business. And I don't need to always heavily rely on Garrett. And so that's kind of like what I've come to recently is like, you've had to be like, okay, I'm going to let her do it. I'm going to let her do it.
Been really weird. Well, you'll like, and the challenge too was being like in a
I think
situation
because
where
I'm
you
pregnant
share.
and I feel,
For
so
sure.
then you're like, you feel extra
Now
protective.
I'm like really fucking
Yeah.
pissed. I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah.
She did what? Who did what? I was like, it's over. It's over. They're done. I'm taking them all out. No. Like, and then you've got to, no. I was like, no, I'm headbutting her right now. And you're like, no.
I'm like,
I got
let
this.
Let me handle it.
So I'm learning. I'm having to learn. And you know what's been fun too is me like letting go of your businesses.
Yeah.
That's been an interesting transition for me.
I've liked it.
It's probably about like you being pregnant. It's feeling very painful sometimes. Where I've like just letting go and like realizing like the role that I played to get a lot of what's going on now with the salon and BMS off the ground and moving Like, I don't honestly, do you think you would have ever gotten a salon if I hadn't pushed you there?
I don't know, because there's been times where you've come in and you've pushed me and I don't see the next step, and then you push me and I'm like, okay, that's the next step. So I think we both push each other in like the right amount of ways, for
Yeah.
sure. Because I think I tend to be more conservative and like overthink things, and you're like, just go. And so I've had to learn to be like, just trust that like in going, I'll figure it out.
Like, look how look how awesome your salon is now. Like, you got a cool team there, amazing environment. And we poured a lot of money into that. Like, a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money, years. You poured tons of blood, sweat, and tears into making it happen. But it doesn't happen without me. And on the flip side, inside of my world doesn't happen without you.
I think it's like you have to come to this place in your marriage or your relationship where you think the other person's like antagonizing you or nagging you or whatever. Like, if you can learn how to take that and flip it to where it's actually beneficial and not like destructive, it's a very powerful place to be in. And I feel like that we have gotten to that place in our relationship at some level where it's like, yeah, we drive each other crazy, but we've learned to like grow and learn from it.
Amen.
I am so uncomfortable sitting
Yep,
on this
we're
chair.
ending
Can
the
you tell?
show.
I'm
Yep.
like,
yeah, we're done.
whew, all of a sudden I'm like, I can't breathe.
This show is officially coming to a close as my pregnant wife is like, she has passed her capacity to sit in the shitty chair she's in during the show.
Well, I've done two. I did another podcast right
You did?
before this.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, with Ani.
Oh, and then you were in a
these-
team meeting this morning,
and
and,
I was
you
at-
didn't
yeah,
sleep well, and you
yeah.
can barely breathe.
I'm all right.
All right, we're done. All right, so my friends, that brings conclusion here in this show. Again, the conversation today is feedback, but specifically, I'm going to give a shout out to the men to recognize that part of the role that your wife plays in your life is the ability to be the quote unquote critical bitch. Her job is to criticize, and your job is to reframe criticism into a place of, hey, listen, my wife is simply jabbing at the king to wake the fuck up. Some of you might be hearing this, and you're like, no, my wife's pretty much a naggy bitch. I want nothing to do with her. And I'd have you consider that maybe inside of that, what's actually the problem is you're a whiny bitch like I was, and you've just got to actually reframe the fact that you think she's a critical bitch because you're being a whiny bitch. And if you just owned your shit and moved forward, that you might see that the criticism was actually some of the most powerful
And
feedback
I would
you
say
could
to
have.
women too, like go in with the intent of like, is this going to get me what I want? Because it might change how you bring it up or how you frame it and how you communicate. So anything that's bugging you or you feel like you need to steer the boat in the correct direction, ask yourself before having that conversation with your husband, like, what do I want out of this conversation? And it'll help kind of direct where you need to go.
That is our conclusion. We are done for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week here on the Date Your Wife podcast.